Okay, morning. Been raining in Dallas. That's great. Maybe I'll get out this afternoon. But I wanted to kind of review fishing equipment for flarping, and let me start where I started, right? So this is a 5-weight, 5'6" fiberglass rod. And you can see a fiberglass rod, you can do this. Do this with a graphite rod, you broke it. Graphite's much more expensive. So if I was just doing the small community ponds, and you see I just have a swivel and 3 beads here, right? Because of the way this rod loads, I can really stroke like that. I'm not gonna do this too much, right? I could really stroke like that's on my fly line. That'll happen to you. Ugh. You know, and it's just flick. No problem. I'm only throwing out as far as I can throw out my boiled deer corn, and I actually do it in the reverse order. I cast, look where it lands, and then I throw corn. Unless I first get there, in which case handful, and then I'm getting set up. Okay, that is a fiberglass 5-weight. You can certainly use it for bluegill, bass. Without all this, it requires a slower casting stroke. If you're just starting out and you don't have a casting stroke, it's fine. Cheap, sturdy. All right. So the second rig that I fished with is this super stiff. If I went like that, I'd be back at the shop trying to get parts for it. And I don't want to use this for flarping. This is for big flies, big fish, big rivers, surf, whatever. So I really had to get this thing out of service for all this stuff I'm doing with flarping, because it's just too expensive and too specialized for another kind of fishing. All right. So finally, I got this cheap fiberglass rod. You can bend it, right? I could probably double this thing. Because you can bend it like that, it works for flarping better, because that's all this like that, the cast is. But I'm going to tell you why I went to an 8-weight when I was fishing that other smaller 5'6". Well, I broke one of those. I own 2, and it was my fault. I was trying to bring in a fish near the bank and didn't want to get muddy, and there's reeds around and all that. So I broke that rod trying to lift the fish too high, and so I bought a net. That rod was fine, but that rod is too short for me to fish off the back of my sailboat. I use the same method, chumming, hair rig, whatever, but they're much bigger fish, and I want to get farther out. In fact, you put the corn in here and you go, and you got this big pattern, and you gotta do that more often. Probably want to start a day before and do it every day as you leave when you're fishing. So you're fishing 3 or 4 days in a row. So your chum is out there all the time, and the fish are coming in all the time. But on my sailboat, right, there's all this rigging back here. A bunch of sailboats all around. But you walk up to your boat on what's called a finger that goes this way, right? Water would be out there. With this rod, and I just had to add a split shot to the top of those beads, because I fished this at the little lake yesterday and it didn't cast very well. I'll keep adding split shot. but I want to be able to get out farther. You want to get out on the boat, you want to get away from, you know, the motors and the docks and all that stuff, because if that fish runs underneath there, well, it's going to be hard to deal with. You want the fish to run out. I actually fish with 2 rods, right? When I hook this fish, I let him run because I need the room to go over and reel up the other rod, get it out of the water. Because that fish is going to come in here and I got a big net. Anyway, so I'm at the boat. I got my back, right, to where I want to cast. I actually have a waste paper basket lashed on there that I can drop the line in, but there isn't too much grass here, and so I want to be able to throw 50, 60 feet. I want to get away from the back of the boat and all of the hazards that are around the dock. So I got a bunch of line out there now, right? And I'm going to call this like the wedding bouquet cast, because the fingers here, I know, you know, if I just throw down the finger and maybe a little to one side or a little to the other, right, I'll get the rod out just fine. And so, like the wedding bouquet, you know, you turn and you find your favorite girlfriend, unmarried, and you go, whee! And see, I got most of that line out. And that's what I need out of this rod. I couldn't have done it with the smaller one, right? So that's kind of the gist of it. You have to tune the weight on the end with the rod based on where and how you get out your corn. Kind of sounds backward, but with carp, that's the way it works. I'll see you later.